This is an emergency broadcast from the 7-Day Boogie Studios. Uh-oh, my laptop crashed in the middle of editing this episode, so I had to start completely over, and things might look a little bit different, but I will still be delivering the 7-Day Boogie action you love and crave each week. Not to worry, a laptop crash will never stop me from boogieing. This is just another challenge we will overcome. We're here to talk Tremors 4, Dark Souls, what's next in the gamer lifestyle for the man JT. Let's get right into it. Tremors 4 brought some life back into this series after the disaster that was Tremors 3. I mean, where do you go once you fuck up and change the namesake underground worm monster of your series into a flying fart box? You take your ass back in time. The fourth installment of the Tremors series makes the bold move, going back in time to tell the origin story of the gigantic subterranean worms we've come to know and love. Perfection Valley starts as Rejection, a mining town facing struggles after Graboids start killing workers at the mine, causing it to shut down. This whole town relies on the industry coming from this mine, and it shutting down could spell the end of Rejection. In comes Hiram Gummer, the owner of the mine and essentially the owner of the town, Bert's great-great-grandpa. Hiram Gummer is not the savage gunman that we may have expected from Bert's Wild West ancestors. This adds some pretty funny elements to the movie, and we do see the seeds planted during the action scenes that lead to Bert being the walking armory that we see in the first few movies. So the essential story is it follows Hiram and the townsfolk that are left trying to save the town, investigate what's happening, and get the mine back up and running so that they can continue to build perfection into the quaint city we come to know and love. During the initial investigation of the mine, as always, that I prefer at least in a monster movie, the first exploration crew gets absolutely gobbled by the Graboids, and not just any Graboids. In the beginning of this movie, they're little baby Graboids that can jump out of the dirt, and I think that is cool, because what is cooler than a Graboid? Not changing it into something that flies and farts all the time. Let's see it as a young baby. I'm into it. The legend begins and is cute. I wonder if they got the idea for Baby Yoda from the Baby Graboids. Don't count that out. And like I said, after the original search party with Hiram gets munched on by the Baby Graboids, they send out a telegram to a call all notice to the surrounding areas saying if you're a bad gunman or if you're good at guns, bad in the good, cool, Wild West sense. If you're a gunman and you want to make some money, come kill some monsters and get this mining town back up and running, and Hiram is going to drop a bag on you. And who answers the call? Black Hand Kelly, which is a cowboy that I think this actor has been a tobacco-chewing villain in several movies. What is this guy's name? It's Dino Bravo. That's not his name. It's Tommy Sharpface. What is this guy's name? Black Hand Kelly, Tremors 4. Billy Drago. Billy Drago joins the cast of Tremors 4 as Black Hand Kelly. And again, is just if you told me to draw an evil cowboy character, this is pretty much exactly what I would draw. He's got the black duster. He has a signature glove that he wears, which gave him his name, Black Hand Kelly. And he's got evil looking teeth. So I think they made a perfect casting choice with Billy Drago as Black Hand Kelly. The rest of this movie is basically just a Wild West, live action show with the Graboids kind of just popping up all over the town, and Black Hand Kelly and Hiram and the rest of the townsfolk figuring out slowly how to defeat them and save the town, with Hiram Gummer, like I said before, growing fonder and fonder of weaponry as the movie goes on, leading to some pretty funny moments where we get the big payoff of him having like an insane arsenal in the back of a horse and buggy for the final action sequence. This movie, like I said, really feels like a Universal Studios live action attraction. And I mean that as a positive. When I was a kid, I went to Universal Studios and I saw like the Waterworld live action show, and that was fucking sick. So I think if they did like a Wild West town Graboid live action play, it could change the world. I would be so stoked to see that. And you can already imagine what type of effects they would need. You just have the one big Graboid that comes out of the ground and eats somebody, right? Like that's the big climax. And then you could have like the floorboards raise up. You could have the dirt on the ground go by as they're kind of running back and forth. You could have, when they explode one, you could like shoot like a blood shower into the crowd. You know what I mean? You could have like a splash zone for the Graboid guts once they get exploded. The ideas are flowing from me for a live action Tremors 4 interpretation. And I think it would be an absolute hit for the live performance community for a Tremors 4 adaptation. This movie is super fun. It does not take itself too seriously. And of course, seeing the Graboids in a Wild West setting is a blast. I mean, I think they had kind of gone too far with the third movie. So to reel it back and bring that classic monster into a new setting, I think was the right choice. Because I think the only other option would be to like shoot them into space and have some space Graboids, which could also, that could go. Don't count that out. That could be an excellent 8th Graboid movie that maybe I'll star in. Oh, what a dream would that be for the culmination of this series to be me taking over the Tremors series for an 8th installment. Wonder how much the rights are. Could this podcast lead me to buying the entire Graboid Tremors franchise? We'll see. Now, this might be a controversial take, but Tremors 4 is taking the second place in the Tremors power ranking. So we've got the original Tremors, then Tremors 4, because the Wild West romp was a blast, then Tremors 2, and then Tremors 3 is bottom of the bucket so far. It's going to keep getting kicked down if I have anything to do with it. This movie scores highly because almost all of the worms are entirely practical effects, like some miniature puppets. We've got the big Graboid eating somebody and pulling them underground. We're hitting all the classic Graboid practical effect action with like the guts exploding everywhere. That is all over this movie. The movie has a Wild West soundtrack, so it can't miss there. And the cast is small but effective in this peek back in time that provides some lore to like help shape the Perfection Valley that we come to know in the first movie. There are some writing choices that I wouldn't necessarily make were I making a Wild West version of Tremors, but how much can you ask for from like an early 2000s straight to the Sci-Fi Channel movie? We love you, Tremors 4. Keep doing your thing. What the heck is going to happen in Tremors 5? I think Jamie Kennedy joins the series, which is a shocking realization looking at the back of the DVD case. Stick around and find out. More Tremors coming up. Now it is time for the gamer update, and it is a big one. I beat Dark Souls 1. Oh, it feels good to say that. It feels good to say that I beat Dark Souls 1. I loved this game. There were some stumbles along the way, for sure. The Four Kings can fuck off forever. They are my least favorite From Software boss I have ever faced. I will scream at the moon about that boss for the rest of my life, probably. As a whole, I loved this game. The entire game has this like regal sense of grandeur. You really feel like you are up against literal gods. And although I had some stumbles, beating this game has given me a new love for the entire series. Quick note, I did a mini whoops, and I beat Gwen before accessing the DLC. That's on me, but, oh, whoops, I beat the game. Ha ha ha, I beat the game. I did choose the Dark Lord ending, and I have become the Lord of Primordial Serpents. So there is that. And I will revisit and dive into the DLC one of these days, but I got to keep moving through the FromSoft series, and we'll get to that here in a second. My favorite bosses of this game, we're taking into consideration the fight, the lore, and the run-up. Ornstein and Smo, great boss, super challenging. I think that they are like a pillar of FromSoft boss design, especially with the multiple enemy boss design. Having the different movesets, I think, is like something that really makes this fight stand out. Having the fast spear wielding Ornstein, and then like I said, Gucci Snorlax with the big hammer, Smo coming in and smacking you around, is a great time. I think that the feeling of like learning their movesets and getting closer and closer to beating them and then finally defeating them was my favorite moment for me in this playthrough. Not as difficult as some of the other bosses, but I would say it is like the peak of difficulty, Dark Soul, like learning the boss moves and satisfaction with beating them and it being like an enjoyable fight to take part in. Other favorite bosses that I had, Quelaag, just cool fire, spider lady, that rules, and the Gaping Dragon, again, both from a fight and lore standpoint. Those were my three favorite boss fights in the entire original Dark Souls game. Now, not all of these are going to come as a surprise, but my least favorite bosses in this game, Seath, didn't love that fight, even though it has a cool lore implication and he kind of is one of the major starters of this entire storyline. I don't love the run back being 10 miles long with invisible paths and shit. And the death crystals and the like weird arena gimmick just kind of spoil the fun. And while again, it is a cool visual fight, actually doing the fight, not super enjoyable. I'll throw the Bed of Chaos in here just because it's on everyone's list of bosses that they hate. It sucks. It's a big tree that swipes you into a pit of death, and you just kind of gotta stick in there and go for it. And you just hit these three little areas, and then the fight's over. It sucks. It's not the worst thing ever, but it is not fun. And of course, the worst boss ever are the Four Kings. So for many reasons, they suck. Their moveset sucks. They have no arena. When I fought them, even though they're named Four Kings, I was using a weapon that made me fight a little slowly, and there were 6 kings in the fight that I won. So lying to me means they suck. Not having an arena means they suck. They've got a bad moveset, and I can't even get their sword once I beat them. So Four Kings, fuck off forever. Now, through all of these struggles and after this playthrough, would I recommend that you play this game? Absolutely. If you are a fan of a challenge and a fan of storytelling and lore that you can literally dive neck deep into immediately and just like read every item description and watch cool videos on YouTube that will tell you everything you need to know and more about the story of the game, I would absolutely recommend playing Dark Souls. If you have played any of the other FromSoft games and have not beaten the first Dark Souls, I think that playing this game and seeing some of their early design choices will make you appreciate the later games even more. Like I said, Elden Ring and Dark Souls 3, I have a higher appreciation for now because I can see some of that formative content, some of the like bedrock of their game design in the first Dark Souls. So I think just as a classic game to have in your gaming library, I would absolutely recommend Dark Souls 1. It's super challenging. The game, for the most part, is fair though. And each death brings you closer to overcoming that challenge. And there's a lesson that we can take in that into any aspect of our life. You know what I'm saying? If I can start as this decrepit zombie in a prison and make it all the way to the Lord of Primordial Serpents, we can do anything. You just got to believe and keep on trucking. So what's next on the gaming agenda? I am having a blast playing Resident Evil 9. I want to complete it and then probably do a podcast just on the Resident Evil games. So stay tuned for that. And in the continued FromSoft catalog challenge, I'm stepping into Bloodborne next. Very different game, I think, than Dark Souls 1. I am scared, but I can do it. And I hope you come along with me. What is next for the Boogieman? As summer creeps towards us, as I'm recording this, there's a 50% chance of snow today, so we're not going to think about that. We're going to think about in the future, I want to get some skateboarding done. I want to share some skateboarding insights with the good people of the land of Boog. So I am looking forward to having a skateboard summer, getting outside, enjoying one of my favorite things to do in this world that I have not been able to do for several months. So that's what's next. We're playing Bloodborne. We're going to the skate park. We are having a boogie good time this summer. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Again, the podcast might look a little different while I figure out the laptop studio situation, but we are going to keep coming at you every week with a 7-day boogie. Thank you so much for stopping by. Like, share, subscribe, send it to someone you love. We'll see you next time. Mwah. Seven